On Wednesday, the 2nd of October, an alarming event took place that rattled many customers of one of the largest financial institutions in the world, Bank of America. As thousands of people logged into their accounts, they were greeted with a terrifying sight: their bank balances displayed as zero. Imagine the panic that ensued. Some customers reported being unable to access their funds, with widespread confusion setting in. The incident wasn't isolated. Down Detector, a platform that monitors outages, tracked over 18,000 reports of this problem.
Accounts unavailable. Some Bank of America users waking up to see a zero in their bank account as online servers appeared to be down.
Bank of America experienced a global online outage earlier Wednesday afternoon, affecting hundreds of thousands of people. Some were unable to access their accounts, and others were even seeing a $0 balance.
While Bank of America has worked to resolve the issue, the cause remains unknown, and the fear it sparked remains fresh in the minds of customers. This was not just a minor technical error. It was a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that exist in our increasingly digital financial systems. When a bank as massive as Bank of America experiences an outage that affects thousands, it makes us question just how secure our banking system truly is. More than that, it highlights how our options for banking have been steadily shrinking. Since 1921, when there were over 30,000 banks in the U.S., the number of banks has declined by 86%, leaving fewer than 4,135 in 2022. This massive consolidation has led to an over-reliance on a small number of financial institutions, and when one of them goes down, the ripple effects can be devastating. It also reveals a centralized control of financial institutions. While the Bank of America outage was eventually resolved, the incident offers a glimpse into a future that the Bible has warned us about for centuries. This event was more than just a technological glitch. It was a foreshadowing of the kind of control that will one day be exerted over all of the world. As I watched the news coverage of the outage, my thoughts immediately went to Revelation 13, verses 17 and 18. Revelation 13, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. This passage from the book of Revelation speaks of a time in the future when a system of control will be implemented, one so powerful that it will prevent people from buying or selling without the mark of the beast. The thought of such control is chilling. And yet, as we look at the world today, how far are we really from this becoming a reality? Think about the Bank of America outage again. A simple glitch left people temporarily cut off from their money. If something as small as a technological error can cause such chaos, how much worse will it be when an organized and deliberate system is put in place to restrict people from participating in the economy unless they comply with the demands of an evil ruler? This is not science fiction or some far-off fantasy. This is the reality that the Bible warns us about, and we are closer to it than ever before. We may not yet know exactly what the mark of the beast will be, but we can see the pieces falling into place. In a world that is increasingly digital, where more and more of our daily lives rely on technology, it's not hard to imagine a future where your ability to buy food, pay rent, or even access medical care could be contingent on receiving some sort of mark or digital identifier. The Bible warns us that this mark will be imposed on people as a means of ultimate control, and those who refuse to take it will be cut off from society entirely. They will not be able to buy or sell. They will be unable to function in the world as we know it. The recent Bank of America outage should serve as a wake-up call. We are living in a time where the infrastructure for this kind of control is already being built. It's happening now, right before our eyes, and the church must be prepared. We are indeed living in the last days, and the spirit of the Antichrist is already at work in the world. In 1 John 4:3, the Bible tells us that the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world. This is not something we are waiting for. It is something that is already here, manifesting in the systems of control that are being put in place all around us. Jesus himself warned that the days before his return would be like the days of Noah. What were the days of Noah like? They were filled with corruption, violence, and a total disregard for God's warnings. People went about their daily lives, indifferent to the impending judgment until it was too late. Today, we are living in a time that bears an unsettling resemblance to the days of Noah. People are caught up in endless distractions, Whether it's the latest celebrity scandal like P. Diddy's court case or fleeting trends that occupy their minds. In Noah's time, people went about their daily lives oblivious to the looming judgment, and today we see a similar pattern. The world is engrossed in superficial matters like the ongoing election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, unaware of the larger, more critical realities unfolding. While many are fixated on politics, few realize how rapidly the world is accelerating toward the events described in Revelation 13, including the rise of the Antichrist and the introduction of the mark. This ignorance is not just a casual distraction. It's a dangerous blindness to the signs of the times. Just as people in Noah's time ignored the warnings, today's world continues as if nothing is changing, missing the prophetic shifts happening around us. The world is perfectly poised for the arrival of the Antichrist. Systems of control are already being built, and people are being conditioned to accept them. The Bank of America outage is just one example of how fragile our systems really are. It doesn't take much to send the world into chaos. A simple glitch can cause panic and confusion. But what will happen when the Antichrist seizes control of these systems? What will happen when the mark of the beast is implemented and people are forced to choose between their allegiance to Christ or their ability to survive in the world? This isn't just speculation. Earlier this year, we saw another massive global IT outage that affected millions of people around the world. A faulty software update from CrowdStrike, a major cybersecurity provider, caused widespread disruptions to businesses, governments, and essential services. The incident, which occurred in July, affected Microsoft Windows devices and caused flight delays, payment processing issues, and problems with real-time services like bus tracking. The cost of the outage was estimated at over $1 billion, and it showed just how interconnected and vulnerable our world has become. The CrowdStrike outage was a glimpse into the future. It showed us how one small error on one side of the world can have massive ramifications on the other side. The world is becoming more interconnected by the day, and with that interconnectedness comes a greater reliance on centralized systems. It's only a matter of time before these systems are used by the Antichrist to exert his control over the world. What does all of this mean for us as believers? First and foremost, it means that we must recognize the signs of the times. The Bible is clear that no one knows the day or the hour of Christ's return, but we are called to watch and be ready. The events we are witnessing today, whether it's the Bank of America outage or the global IT outage earlier this year, are signs that the end times are drawing near. The increasing centralization of power and the growing reliance on technology for every aspect of our lives are clear indicators that we are moving closer to the fulfillment of Revelation 13. The infrastructure for the mark of the beast is already being built, and it's happening faster than we might think. As believers, we must also be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. Revelation 13 is clear that there will come a time when Christians will be faced with a choice: take the mark of the beast or be cut off from society. That choice will not be an easy one, but we are called to endure. We are called to stand firm in our faith, no matter the cost. Jesus warned that in the last days, many would fall away from the faith. Why? Because the pressures of the world will become too great. The systems of control that are being put in place today will one day be used to persecute Christians, and those who are not grounded in their faith will be swept away. This is why it is so important for us to be rooted in the Word of God and in prayer. We must be prepared spiritually, mentally, and emotionally for what is to come. The time to prepare is now. The world is rapidly moving toward the fulfillment of end-time prophecy, and we must be ready. But what does it mean to be ready? It means that we must first be spiritually prepared. We must be grounded in the truth of God's word, and we must be living lives that are fully surrendered to Christ. There is no room for compromise in these last days. We must be ready to stand firm in our faith, even when the world is against us. We must also be prepared to share the gospel with urgency. The time is short, and there are millions of people who do not know Christ. The systems of control that are being put in place will one day be used to cut people off from the truth. And we must do everything we can to share the gospel while we still have the opportunity. The Great Commission is more urgent now than ever before. When the mark of the beast is implemented, it will be an act of ultimate oppression. Those who refuse to take the mark will be cut off from society. They will not be able to buy food, access healthcare, or earn a living. This is why it is so important for us to be spiritually prepared now. We must be ready to stand firm in our faith, even when it costs us everything. We must be ready to endure persecution for the sake of Christ, knowing that our reward is in heaven. Brothers and sisters, the time is short. The events we are witnessing today are not just random occurrences. They are signs that the return of Christ is near. The systems of control that will one day be used by the Antichrist are already being built. The infrastructure for the mark of the beast is already in place. The only question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stand firm in your faith when the pressure to conform becomes overwhelming? Are you ready to share the gospel with urgency, knowing that time is running out? Are you ready to endure persecution for the sake of Christ, trusting that he will give you the strength to persevere? We do not know the day or the hour of Christ's return, but we do know that he is coming soon. The signs are all around us, and we must be vigilant. We must be ready. We must be ready. We must be watching. And we must be sharing the gospel with a world that is rapidly approaching its final hour. The recent events we've seen, from the Bank of America outage to the global IT crash, are more than just technological failures. They are warnings. They are reminders that the systems of this world are fragile and that we are moving closer to the time prophesied in Revelation 13. The mark of the beast, the Antichrist, and the Great Tribulation are not far off events. They are coming soon. The time to act is now. The time to share the gospel is now. We must be ready for what is coming.